Everyone, let's have more news about the Warriors, but first don't forget to subscribe to the channel and leave a like. The Miami Heat continue to be strongly linked to a trade for superstar forward Kevin Durant, with the outcome likely to weigh heavily on the Golden State Warriors and what they do with restricted free agent Jonathan Kuminga. What does or doesn't happen regarding Durant directly involves the Warriors, because as reiterated by NBA insider Jake Fisher of the Stein Line on Saturday, the Heat could have interest in Kuminga if they don't land the 2X Finals MVP. Miami are in a strong position to land Durant if they're willing to include exciting young center Kelly Ware or more draft capital in their trade offer, with the very real potential that something still takes place before Wednesday's NBA draft. If the Heat and Phoenix Suns do ultimately execute a Durant deal, it could put Golden State in a bind when it comes to Kuminga and his future. On one hand, the Warriors will probably be ecstatic that Durant would head east rather than join another Western Conference foe, but it does limit what they could get back in a potential sign and trade scenario. The thought of reuniting with former All-Star forward Andrew Wiggins, well, that would go out the window because Wiggins would likely have found himself in Phoenix as part of the Durant deal. Durant's arrival in South Beach would leave just one thus far reported team heavily interested in Kuminga, the Chicago Bulls. While this could help Golden State in getting the 22-year-old on a more team-friendly contract, it does lessen the market on potential sign and trade avenues. Now let's go to another video. Don't forget to
Game 7 in the NBA Finals. I can't complain. Doing what I do, I cannot complain. Kevin Durant has been traded once again. This time it's to the Houston Rockets for Jalen Green, the number 10 pick, and Dillon Brooks. We've heard for the last month, right? The Suns really want to get this done before the draft because they want to draft capital back. And, these were the teams listed: Miami, Minnesota, San Antonio, and of course the Houston Rockets. Last week, it came out that KD had turned down the Wolves. He didn't want to go to Minnesota. And, some people say, oh, well, cold weather. It's not like he doesn't want the vibes of that city and stuff like that. To me, I think a little part of it might have been he understood if they do win, Ant's going to get the credit, right? Like, I think there was a little element of that. And listen, I love KD. He's one of my favorite basketball players ever. But we have to be honest, he is a basketball thought, right? Like, he always has a wandering eye. The grass is always greener. And you have to take that into account if you're trying to bring him in. Like, is he going to be happy? Is he going to be, and you look at this Phoenix situation where initially you couldn't blame Phoenix for making the deal. I know, being out here in the Valley, a lot of people didn't like it because they had grown attached to Cam Johnson, Mikal Bridges, that run that Suns team made, and they were homegrown drafted players. But at the time, I think overall the optics were like, well, if you could get KD, you get KD. And you pair him with Devin Booker, whom I thought Book, to me, they say he's not a leader. I don't know. I think when you look at the circumstances around the Suns organization since he's been there, like, they haven't given him the structure to lead. And then I also believe there's probably a little element between he and KD, a little little bro syndrome, where, listen, they're peers. They played on the Olympics together. They're, all-stars. Book at a different point in his career. But I think there's probably a little element of where Devin looks up to KD a little bit too much, perhaps, to actually lead him as far as that dynamic goes. I'm pretty excited, though, because my daughter and we are headed to our first Golden State Valkyries game out here in Phoenix. And you already know how I got the tickets. SeatGeek, locked and loaded and ready to go. Seamless, easy transaction. It's what I use for any event when I want tickets. In fact, my cousin and I were headed out to Las Vegas. It's our annual trip each summer. And what we try to do is catch a UFC. But we've learned if you wait till kind of the last minute, hop on SeatGeek, you're going to get the best deal. Well, frankly, you're going to get the best deal from SeatGeek anyway. They rate their tickets on a 1 to 10 scale, so you know the value, and it's just such a seamless and safe process. It's what I use whenever I want tickets to whatever event. And so, I'm going to hook you up. Use the code Alchemy10 for 10% off your next set of tickets from SeatGeek. That's 10% off any tickets using the code Alchemy10. Make sure to click the link in the description. Download the app so the code can be automatically added to your account. But why it works for the Houston Rockets is because that's what you say, right? KD's fickle. He's not really the leader, right? He's just going to give you the scoring and be that bucket, that guaranteed bucket. Well, Ime Udoka is the leader of the Houston Rockets, right? So that's why I think that that works. And you look at their roster now: Fred, Amen, KD, Sengun, Jabari. You got Whitmore, Eason. Is Reed Shepherd going to be a player? They've got the depth to load manage KD, who I know that may be difficult because he's such a hooper. But at this point in his career, I think you really need to load manage him for the playoffs. And it's really a no-brainer for the Rockets. You get this deal done, I think, without giving up any of the young players they wanted to hold on to, right? Like if I'm Phoenix, I'm making them come off Jabari. Like at the very Jabari and Eason at the very least. But hey, we don't know exactly what the market is. I'm sure more details will come out about this deal. Jalen Green, is he essentially a salary dump right now after that playoff debut? I know, what was it, a two and one deal? It's not a long contract that the Suns have absorbed. I imagine they're going to try to flip him, right? I think Dylan Brooks is the prize for them outside of this 10th pick. But I think I imagine that was like what they are they going to, that's who teams are going to be calling about for Phoenix. Because Dylan Brooks, despite his reputation overall, I think has really matured over the last few years. And even, Warrior fans watching that Rockets first round series, he's the same guy. That's what's impressive. He's still chippy. He's still borderline dirty, right? And he's still that same guy, but I think he keeps himself much more in control emotionally, and he's better at towing the line. He's become a really good knockdown shooter from three-point range. And so I think a lot of teams are going to be interested in adding Dylan Brooks at his number. And that maybe is what Phoenix was thinking as a chip to flip, because Jalen Green, listen to me, Jalen Green and Jonathan Kuminga are a cautionary tale of playing showcase basketball. The G League Ignite no longer exists. They both came from the Ignite and the club circuit, where showcase basketball, I think that, and one can argue, you can push back and say, hey, look, Jalen Green has a $100 million contract. Jonathan Kuminga is about to get a $100 million contract. So, okay, fine. But if we're talking about them reaching their true potential and their ceiling, they lack a lot of the fundamentals that would have been taught if they would have went to college for a year, as well as I think just the structure of team basketball. Because with Jalen Green, to me, he's one of the most athletic players in the league, but it almost works against him, because when you're that athletic, all you got to do is stick to the fundamentals and the basics, and you're gonna pop. You're gonna be efficient, and that's what's gonna best utilize it. And he just does too much. It's almost like he's playing for the gram, and he gets off balance, and that's why I think he's so up and down and erratic in his efficiency. One night he has 30, the next night he has 8, because he doesn't stick to the fundamentals of the game. Kuminga, I think, in his much different situation with the Warriors, where he had to really fight for court time, I think he's closer with the fundamentals, but I think that it's kind of along the same, and he gets more of a pass to me coming from where he came, from the Congo, right? And so his basketball journey's been different. But both of them, again, a year of college basketball, I think, would have really altered the base of perhaps how they play. And so, yeah, I don't know. I don't see pairing Jalen Green with Devin Booker in that backcourt. I think Dylan Brooks might be the flip, the 10th pick. I don't know what the Suns are going to do. I don't even know. I don't know if the Suns know what they're going to do. What they did know is they had to get rid of KD, and, Houston gets him for, again, not getting Jabari or Eason out of that deal. They look pretty damn good. They look pretty damn good on paper with that depth and being able to not have to ride KD every night like the Suns did for what was it, 2 years out here. So the other part, is more of the details unfold of this deal that's happened here Sunday, Game 7 Sunday, is Miami was the other option. I haven't heard what Miami was offering. Certainly not Kel'el Ware. Like if we find out that the Suns turned down a Kel'el Ware deal, that's a bad look. That's a really bad look. I don't think that they would have offered him, but I don't know. Maybe they did, but they didn't get KD. And the rumor has been, if the Heat strike out on Durant, they could turn their focus to Jonathan Kuminga. Now, I know the first thought, Dub Nation, is Wiggs. Bring Wiggs back. Someone had messaged me. They had just seen him at their son's school, and he's such a low-key, laid-back guy, and it's just, I think everyone would be happy if that would happen. I don't think that Miami's looking to move Wiggins. I think they're looking for him to be a piece next to Tyler Hero and Bam Adebayo, right? Kalel Ware, again, as I mentioned, I don't see that happening. I think they like Kalel better than Kuminga. And so the players that are more realistic, if there were to be some sort of Kuminga sign and trade deal, the players that I like, Jaime Jaquez, and, he fell out of favor there with Spo. We can save that story for another time. I don't know. But, he is a player that went, I think, one pick before Pods a few years ago in the draft. I know the Warriors liked him, UCLA connection. And so they've liked him since the draft. So that would definitely be a guy in the discussion. Highsmith is a Heat-grown product, Heat culture. I don't think he was drafted at all, but he's a big defensive wing that would, fit into any rotation. And then Jovic, the center that they drafted, was he in the lottery a few years ago? It's taken him a while. He was super young, but he's a stretch big, skilled, and, that would be a guy that, you'd be interested in. So those are the three names from Miami if we are looking at some sort of Kuminga sign and trade deal. But yeah, KD's on the move again, and he's on another team that looks like they should be a contender on paper. I like the mix for him. I like Ime as the coach because you have a defined leader. You've got a lot of young guys that defend, a veteran point guard leader. It's a tailor-made situation for him to just be himself, which means not lead, not deal with all the other intangible stuff that come along with being a superstar. Just go get buckets and stay healthy. And for Phoenix, we'll see what they turn this into. But to me, what jumps out is you didn't get Jabari. Maybe I'm a little higher on Jabari Smith than others. But Dylan Brooks, let's see what they turn that into, because I think a lot of teams will be interested in him. Jalen Green, is he a salary dump at this point? I don't know. But trade seasons, it's beginning before even the finals are over. We've got the draft coming this week, and Game 7 tonight. I can't call it, man. That's why it's a Game 7, right? Once you get to Game 7, can you really stand firmly on either side of who you think's going to win? My heart's with the Pacers. The way they play, the Cinderella story, maybe not Cinderella's strong, but they're not supposed to be here, right? And it almost feels like destiny. Some of the wins that they've got through these playoffs, it's like, dude, are they playing, my daughter says Halliburton's doing voodoo. Like, it seems almost like a team of destiny at this point. However, my logical brain feels like we are going to see the Thunder do what they do. The favorites all year long on their court. It's going to be their defense creating turnovers, SGA getting to the line, and we've seen J-Dub officially become a true Robin, a true number 2 star that can take over a game. And so I think
being traded away in a sign and trade or signing with a different team. Well, we got 2 new reports out today. One from the Stein report. The Heat being a target for Kuminga and how that would work. So we're going to go into our trade simulator, which I know y'all love, and figure this one out. And the second one is a report from Athlon Sports that there could be a 3-team trade between the Bulls, the Warriors, and the Hornets, with a lot of players going different ways. This one to me is actually a decent idea, helps fill a lot of holes the Warriors may have. So we're going to break down both of these on Warriors Digest. Comment your thoughts on what we talk about, and of course, no hypotheticals here. The money has to work. The trade has to work. It's not just, this player for that player. We got to make sure it works. Or it doesn't work. Duh. Game 7 tonight, if you're watching on Sunday. Thunder, Pacers in OKC. It's going to be fun. Also, comment your thoughts. Who you think will win? West Coast, Western Conference, Eastern Conference team having a new NBA champion that hasn't won in a while or ever. Nice. But what we care about is our Warriors basketball. And let's start with the Heat first. There's some belief among There's a belief among some rival teams that Miami could emerge as a potential Kuminga suitor among various guards and swingmen that the Heat could target if Pat Riley and company don't win the Durant trade sweepstakes. Reportedly for Durant, folks, because this is important, this will play out very quickly apparently. The Phoenix Suns are trading Kevin Durant to the Houston Rockets for Jalen Green, Dylan Brooks, the number 10 pick in the 2025 draft, and 5 second-round picks or study span. So this just happened as we start recording. Unreal. In a blockbuster trade, the Suns superstar Kevin Durant is headed to Houston in exchange for Jalen Green, had a decent playoffs, Dylan Brooks, the number 10 pick in the 2025 draft, and 5 second-round picks. Phoenix all around gets better. Rockets are now going with Sagan, Durant, and Houston Rockets. Well, this makes this video that much more wild. Are you gonna break this out yet? Probably way too soon. Yeah, because there. Van Vliet, if he resigns, Sagan, Durant, Jalen Green is gone. Wow. Then, of course, you got Amon Thompson. That's a pretty good team. Of course, they were second in the West. Lost the Warriors. Houston getting KD. He's going to Texas. Obviously, he played at University of Texas, Austin, going up the road to Houston. So that makes this potentially that much more real now because Miami did not get Kevin Durant. Now, the thing is, how would this trade work? If we do Kuminga, he may not even be on here because he's not signed. I don't know if we can get Kuminga on here. Yeah, signed free agent. I guess we're going to have to pick Kuminga. Nope, you can't. Can I even get him on here? We can't do it because he's not signed. Should have looked at this before. But who we want from the Warriors, again, if Kuminga signed for $20-25 million is what we think. You know, a lot of people talk about Canal Ware as a center. People really like him. $4.4 million. That's not the only thing you could do. There would have to be draft picks along with that. Again, Kuminga's getting probably $15-25 million. That's not enough right there. In addition, folks, obviously we know Butler came to the Warriors in the trade in the midseason, so they have a relationship in doing trades. Tyler Hero would be nice. Good shooter next to Curry, but they're not getting rid of Hero. They're not getting rid of Bam. I know I've seen Bam. He's not going anywhere. We're not getting Kyle Anderson back. Duncan Robinson could be a nice addition piece. Kind of like a Kyle Anderson player, but I don't think that works. But we cannot do Kuminga because he's a restricted free agent. That's wild. I don't know that. This video is eclectic. Wow. KD going to the Rockets. That's kind of just staying on my head now. Rockets. Wow. We'll go to the Bulls in a second. 2-time Finals MVP Durant, Jalen Green, Brooks, number 10 pick in the draft. Dylan Brooks, a Sun now. 5 second-round picks. Phoenix is in purgatory. No real draft picks, not a lot to do. They definitely just got better by that. What are they saying here? Wouldn't overpay. Suns got scammed. It'd be interesting to see what they say. Now, the other trade was, which we can actually look at, Bulls get Kuminga. Golden State gets Lonzo Ball. Obviously, he had quite a bit of injuries, but came back and looked good in the second half of the season. Jalen Smith, Josh Okogie from the Hornets. Portland protected first rounder from Bulls. 2029 second rounder from Hornets. 2029 Denver Nuggets second rounder from Hornets. 2031 second rounder from Hornets. 2031 Phoenix Suns second rounder. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4 second rounders and a potential first round pick for Kuminga to the Bulls while getting players. That's a nice haul. That fills out your team more. You get 3 players, plus draft picks, which you could go trade to get more players. Use them, of course. But the Hornets in the 3-team trade get Moody and Javon Carter from the Bulls. You're going to lose Moody in the trade. But again, that's where obviously stepping in, Lonzo Ball, probably can fill that position. He's a true point guard, so the Steph moved to the 2. Kuminga immediately makes Chicago more formidable in a wide open Eastern Conference, especially considering the cost. Ball is well liked, but Ayo, Das Unmu, and other options can fill his minutes. Carter and Smith don't move the needle for the team, so that heftiest price is a first-round pick from the Blazers that has enough protection that they won't ever beat in the lottery and may eventually convert to a 2028 second rounder. There you go. Meanwhile, the Warriors address several needs, adding a backup point guard, a big man, and wing depth, plus a healthy return of draft capital, which we do have some already, but if I show that right here, we do have quite a bit of first round picks, no second round, so this gives us some capital to make some moves. It cost the Warriors surrendering Moody in the process, but Pincus thought it was worth it considering how much Kuminga would limit their financial flexibility and a potential return. And again, we talked about that. If Kuminga is coming back at $20-25 million, then you're over the first apron basically, and you have $9 million of second apron space. So this trade would net you 1, 2, 3 players plus a bunch of draft picks for the price of 2, but 2 vital players who played a lot in the playoffs and big parts of the season, and 2 people drafted in the same year. Moody got that 3-year, $39 million extension last season. Kuminga waiting for his restricted free agent, and now you're gonna let them go. So again, sometimes you draft to build, sometimes you draft to keep. This would be maybe again another sign that, hey, we did not draft the right players. We don't want them for the long haul. This does make the team probably a bit better. I mean, if we want to really quickly, we type in Josh Ogie, ESPN. What's he going to provide you? 6'4", 213, so there's your guard player. A little bit shorter than Kuminga and Moody. Last year, he shot 34% from 3, 7 points, only played 50, excuse me, that's his 24 or 25 total, because he was traded. 44%. Played 55 games. Has never shot 38% one time. More of an outlier there because he didn't play a lot. This is just going to be some random dude on the bench, of course. Jalen Smith, Bulls. Wow, that Durant trade really threw me off, folks. Played 64 games, started 2, 32% from 3, 6'9", power forward, some backup Draymond. 6 rebounds a game, not terrible. I like that. Free throws, 80%, high. Not shooting like 2 a game. 8 points. So, I don't know. For Kuminga, I mean, you're getting a nice haul in draft capital and a couple players to fill out the roster, but you're not getting significant production. It would be that first round pick, but again, it's protected where maybe it becomes a second round. So call me your thoughts. KD being traded. Wow. These 2 potential trade deals.
Leave a like. It's nearly 12 months ago that the Golden State Warriors and Klay Thompson made the decision to part ways, with the franchise legend signing a 3-year, $50 million contract with the Dallas Mavericks. It was a tough period for the Warriors, yet one they actively ensured didn't go to complete waste. Mike Dunleavy Jr. and the front office smartly turned Thompson's departure into a 6-team sign-and-trade, acquiring 2 rotation pieces in Buddy Hield and Kyle Anderson on mid-tier contracts. Anderson wasn't overly impactful but was used as key salary in the February trade for Jimmy Butler, while Golden State arguably wouldn't have made the second round of the playoffs without Hield's heroics in the do-or-die Game 7 of the first-round series against the Houston Rockets. While they may not hold the same stature as Thompson, veteran duo Kevon Looney and Gary Payton II are also beloved champions who the Warriors will need to make decisions on as free agents this offseason. As limited role players over the past 18 months, Golden State may need to move on from Looney and Payton to upgrade the roster. Perhaps one or both come back on veteran minimum contracts, but the front office needs to be open-minded about what they could do in the coming weeks. If one or both of Looney and Payton were to depart, then the Thompson trade provides the blueprint on how the Warriors can make the most out of it. They won't be making anywhere near the contract the veteran sharpshooter got from the Mavericks last offseason, but they could get more than the minimum elsewhere and therefore open up a sign and trade scenario. The limited offensive capabilities of Looney and Payton make them less valuable to a team like the Warriors, who need to improve on that end of the floor, but a rival could pursue them if there's a need for more defense. And you, fan, what do you think about Klay Thompson's situation? Leave your opinion in the comments. Hello, everyone.